you a type C mom? This is apparently the thing that is trending now. And of course, if you're a mom, you know how important it is to be trendy, right? I mean, what are you if you're not trendy, Virginia?
You're nothing.
You're nothing.
Useless.
Absolutely. What good are you?
Waste of skin.
So they say a type C mom is a mix of organization and chaos, embodying a balance between type A and type B personalities. They say that these moms who are type C are relatable for many because they struggle to balance being organized and feeling emotionally exhausted.
Yes, Daddy.
You're kind of a mix of two. You feel like you kind of got it together, but then other times you're just like, I am just beat up.
Yes.
They say type C moms are trying to hold it together with a mix of competence, exhaustion, and a sense of humor. I don't know if that is so much as a psychological type as it's just the reality of what it's like to be a mom. Is that not more what the situation is?
I mean, I get it, though, because sometimes, like, we'll be on it. Like, I'll have, like, everything done correctly, properly, and then other times I'll just be complete chaos and, like, not even know that my son's not making first communion and invite all kind of people in town for a first communion that's not happening.
Oh, really? You got that wrong, huh?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So it's like, yeah, I get it. Like sometimes it's organized, it's perfect, it's everything's the way it should be. And then sometimes it's complete fumbling and failure and chaos.
Do you, did he not do the communion because he wasn't allowed to, or you just got the date wrong?
I got the date wrong because there's 2 years of prep, not one.
Oh, okay.
And I had asked, I said at the beginning, I said, hey, when is first communion? They told me it's in May. It's in the calendar. So I was like, all right.
Okay,
I'm
got
going to
it.
look in the calendar. Got it. The Saturday before Mother's Day. Check.
Of 2026.
Of 2026. There's 2 years of prep.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I think that really is the one thing about parenting is you just have to realize that there's no way to be perfect or even great sometimes. Maybe good is as good as you can get, and other times you need to give yourself forgiveness for not being the best.
Did anybody die? No, they did not. So that's a good day.
Yeah, in fact, I saw this. This might make you feel a bit better. They say the average parent thinks they make 5 mistakes per week.
That seems low. That seems low for my menopause brain that makes way more mistakes than 5 a week.
Okay.
Well, there's mistakes where, you forget something to give them something, and then there's mistakes where, you accidentally hit them.
Well, if I hit him, it's on purpose.
There's different types of mistakes out there.
I think 5 for me is low, though.
Okay.
Of times that I go, ugh, dumb parenting mistake.
Well, what about you, Dad?
That's why, I give it all to my wife, so she's the only one that makes mistakes, and I sit back and critique her.
You got a perfect record.
I don't know about that.
No.
Didn't you leave your kid at the gym?
Years ago, Virginia. Kid that's grown up and is somewhat gotten over it.
Still the best voicemail ever. When your son called you to tell you left him at the gym, you sent him to voicemail.
I didn't recognize the number. You know how I operate.
Look, the reason why that was so public because there was a voicemail involved. That's the only
And
reason
in the
why.
background, you can hear the other people in the gym laughing, and your son is so sweet about it. He's like, Dad, hey, so sorry to inconvenience you, but I think you left me at the gym. And he's like a
Sweet
little
child.
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you said it was legs day, kid. Sorry, I was preoccupied.
That's right. That's what happens on Legs Day, boy. It scrambles your brain, man. You can't think of anything except getting home and crashing. So, yeah, don't feel too bad. 5 mistakes per week is what they say the average is. And it is kind of interesting as they look at where parents are prioritizing what they think makes a good parent now. And they say it's different in our generation, or even especially with millennials, where when we were kids, a lot of times your parents would put education academics is you got to do your homework. This is the most important thing. If you're not getting good grades, what are you? What are you going to be? You'll be a complete failure if you don't get into college. And now they say that parents now prioritize mental health in emotional well-being.
Yes, way more than our parents did. Our parents didn't give a crap about our mental health.
It wasn't a thing. You
It
didn't
wasn't
think
a
about it.
thing.
Yeah, I think that, when I grew up, it was more like you can control your own emotions. And if you're sad, just think happy thoughts, and you can easily just knock that right out.
And it wasn't a time period where you got to debate your parents about a lot of things. Hey, Mom, can I do that? No. Why? Because I'm your mother and I said so. Okay, debate over. It seems like nowadays kids get more into a debate.
It seems too that parents are like more interested, more involved, more plugged in. Like my parents, I lived a whole life that they knew nothing about. They never asked about it. They were never worried about it. I would go off for hours and hours and no one would even know where I was or what I was doing. There is not a minute of the day that I can't figure out and tell you exactly where Rocco and Magnolia are and what they're doing.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot more helicopter parenting, and it really takes that generation to kind of grow up, and then maybe you make adjustments. And I think the critiques and what people are going to be interested to see, we communicate with our kids more. We prioritize their mental health. I think those are all good things. There are many people that feel that in that pursuit, that a lot of people are not having the tough conversations with their kids the way they need to, and discipline has fallen off. And will you see that as they get older, that they don't respect laws and seniors and people in authority as much as our generation did?
The helicopter parent might have produced a fragile, more overly sensitive person that's not ready to deal with the challenges of the real world when you go out in the cold real world.
Typically what happens is one generation way overcompensates for how they were raised, and they go in the other direction. And then the next generation after that's like, oh, we got to swing this back.
I think that's what I'm doing. I really do, because I think back to my childhood when my parents didn't even know where I was. We were at the creepy guy's bicycle house.
Oh, boy.
Where he would have all kinds of kids come over there and borrow bicycles. Meanwhile, he was feeling up kids.
There is an episode on the show Different Strokes from the 70s and 80s, and it's called Bicycle Man, and it's about a creepy bicycle guy.
Hand on a Bible, we had a bicycle guy in our neighborhood, and my parents didn't know about this, but all of the neighborhood kids would go there and borrow bicycles, and he had cool bicycles, and that was the draw. But then I heard some kids telling stories about how he was touching them weird, and I was like, ooh, that's different.
They did that a lot during just movies and shows. They really made the bicycle guy
The 80s.
always creepy.
Creepier for the bike man.
I am here to tell you the bicycle guy is real. That happened on River Oaks Drive in Algiers, Louisiana. I can show you the house.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
We believe you.
yeah.
But like that wouldn't happen today. There'd be no
No.
circumstance where my kids could be at a bicycle guy's house.
Right.
Because I'm plugged in and I'm talking and I'm caring, and like my parents just were like doo-doo-doo, obliv.
I wonder how often our kids, when I was a kid, we'd all hop on our bikes and we'd go around. Those electronic bikes seem to be popular now, but are they still what they used to be in our generation?
I see kids out in the neighborhood
Yeah.
doing stuff.
I
think
wouldn't say I
kids-
never see it, but yeah, I don't see it like I did. And I don't know if that's a Florida thing, if it's maybe the neighborhood I'm in, or if it's the era.
You do live in an old person neighborhood.
You
If you see
do.
people on mopeds, it's because they need them because they can't walk.
We don't have a lot of life. I'm not sure there's anyone alive on my street.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I never see anybody.
It's nothing but shut-ins.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Ain't nobody biking on my street.
The only people who come on your street are Meals on Wheels.
That's it.
Or the ambulance.
That's the only way I know they're
Or
alive.
the ambulance.
That's the only activity we got. It's kind of crazy. They say that another thing that's going on with parenting right now is the FAFO method. You know what that stands for?
F around and find out.
Yeah, it's the idea to let kids make their own mistakes and learn how to deal with the consequences. It's kind of a correction almost to what we were just talking about with the helicopter parent like you, where they're a little worried that, okay, I've coddled my child too much, and maybe I do need to let them knock around a bit. They say that some of the Gen Zers that are now having kids, again, you got a market correction that is happening as they feel like maybe the millennials or the Gen Xers ahead of them got a little too soft. And so they're saying, okay, you know what? Let's let the kids knock around a bit, get some bumps and bruises, and learn for themselves out of their own mistakes.
Why can't you do both? Why can't you have a hybrid of styling?
This is allowing them to do that. What they would say is the correction is with the helicopter parenting, you wouldn't let it get to that point. You wouldn't let a kid get anywhere near something where they could physically feel pain.
So you would let them, the newer parent that wants them to maybe possibly feel a little fear, you would let them jump in the shark tank, and then they have to figure out how to get out.
It's a bit extreme,
But
yeah, I don't think they would do that. But you would actually let them ride a bicycle, you know, instead of like saying, okay, we got to cover you in all kinds of protective padding and everything else. We'll let you get some scabby knees. Scabby knees seem to be good for kids when we were growing up.
And you always talk about how the country kids and country folks are just different.
Yeah.
I think they still are.
Yeah, they never change. Yeah, a lot of times all this mumbo jumbo stuff we deal with in the city, it never leaks down into the country. They have raised kids the same way for hundreds of years.
There's kids right now
don't change.
on their bike. They're 6 years old. They're milking the cow, and they've been up for 3 hours.
Yeah, right. Exactly. They don't play around. And this doesn't sound too insane, but they say one example of the FAFO parenting method is, for instance, letting a kid go outside without his coat on when the kid's like, I don't want to wear a coat. And you're like, okay, fine, go ahead. And then the kid goes out and then they get soaking wet and then they're miserable later on. Be like, I wish I had a coat. And you're like, going, see, he told you so. So it's kind of more of an I told you so parenting style is what that's all about. So letting them do that. Whereas the helicopter parent is like, oh no, you're going to wear this and you're going to wear mittens. You're going to have an umbrella and, all that kind of stuff. So they say the key is to not use it as a weapon and to be mean or spiteful about giving your child independence to learn from their mistakes. Plus, you need to make sure that you are present to rescue them when their independence leads to difficulty that needs a parent's assistance.
It was pretty crazy because I coached baseball for little kids for a good 12 years, and when I first started coaching, I saw parents were, and boy, they did start to change towards the end to the point where I kind of got out because of the parents. Mm-hmm. The kid could never do any wrong, and they were very overly helicoptery. If that makes sense.
I think Kevin's right, though. I think it's a knee-jerk reaction to how we were raised. If you were raised in the 70s and in the 80s, like, I should have been dead like 8 different times, and my parents had no idea I was ever in those situations. Mm-hmm. They had no idea.
Right, exactly. And you talk about parents defending their kids. I saw this video cam footage. It was this 12-year-old in Volusia County, Florida, that was racing a 17-year-old in a car. This is a 12-year-old driving a car.
Oh.
And the cops can't believe it because they race right towards the cop, and he's in a marked vehicle. He's like, what are you doing? And so he pulls the kid over, and clearly you can tell this is a child that is driving this vehicle at a high rate of speed. And then the parents get involved. And what's kind of crazy is how the parents deal with finding out that their 17-year-old is racing a 12-year-old drag racing in a car.
Can you give me a driver's license? What was that racing bullshit? All right, cool. Everybody's license or ID card.
I don't got ID.
Do you have a license?
No, I was testing.
Hop out. How old are you? 12.
12
years old. He
So-
couldn't believe it.
Asking for your license is kind of irrelevant.
Yeah, and then they had the dad show up, and he's like, well, I mean, I don't see anybody hurt here. He's like, is there really a problem? And
But did he die?
yeah, that was kind of it. His approach was like, I don't see anybody hurt. He's like, I don't know why you got to hassle these kids. And he's like,
Oh, he's 12.
Zero accountability.
yeah. And he's like, well, he's like, my kid's trying to get into college. And he's like, you arrest him. He's like, this is going to affect him getting into the college he wants, all that kind of stuff. He's like, well, you got to learn. You don't drag race 12-year-olds in cars.
It is insane, some of the body cam footage that you watch where the person's doing something so wrong, so illegal, and everyone's defending them around them, saying that they didn't do anything wrong,
Right.
they're innocent. Meanwhile, they're basically showing what they've done on camera to them,
Right.
and they're still not.
And the whole time, what are you signaling to your kid when you are defending the 17-year-old and trying to get them out of any kind of punishment whatsoever for drag racing a 12-year-old?
The laws don't apply to you, kid. You're special. Daddy's going to navigate this so you don't have to obey.
Well, that's the whole point of consequences is that you do something wrong, it's going to drastically affect your life, and where you want to go and what you want to do is now impacted. That keeps you from doing it in the first place.
Yeah, that parent is very annoying.
Yeah, but it's kind of the symptom of what is out there today. And one text says, my motto to my 16-year-old daughter is, you want to do adult things, you're going to deal with adult consequences. And that's a really good motto.
Yeah. I mean, you can't be drag racing. You just you can't do it. And you're so dumb. You drag race in front of a cop. I mean, dude.
It's a very serious thing, you know, especially in Florida. They've got a lot of problems with people drag racing, and it's a big thing in South Florida. And there are a lot of people that die, innocent people that pull out of a neighborhood and somebody's drag racing down a street and they hit them and, you know, they die because of it. They're completely innocent.
Speed kills.
And sometimes they'll try you as an adult. If you're 17 and you're close to being 18, I mean, you're close to being a legal adult at that point.
Absolutely, yeah. So you need to face those repercussions. One text says, as a police officer, kids these days definitely have no care for authority and or think that it's acceptable to debate an adult instead of just listening to them. As time goes by, more and more of our criminals are younger kids and teenagers, and the worst part is the majority of the parents are like kids, will be kids, and they don't believe in any kind of punishment, and you see the end result of it. And you're going to have some issues. And then no matter how many things they do wrong, they'll double down and say, it's not my kid's fault. It's the system. It's something else that is making them a victim. Nah, that's the problem.
Yeah, that is a problem.
South Florida's got some of the, I think, the most body cam videos in all of Florida of people doing just foolish things.
Yeah, we do a lot of dumb things in Florida.
South Florida especially.
This is how we do. It's the KBJ Show.